Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
Now.
Got it. We are
I've got no faith in you, Teal.
Oh,
I'm just keeping an eye on it.
this thing of Facebook, man, I only touch it once a week, and it's just to try and get on.
Well, you did well.
His technical ability is much better than his prospecting ability. We've got to give him a bit of credit.
You had to get that in early, didn't you?
If I do get given the wrong list, and you get given the preferential one, mate.
I go around telling, I tell everyone, just listen to Thomas. He's the one who wrote the book. No one knows better than him. Well, apparently.
Oh well, you've had a good day. You created energy, and you got
amazing day.
People leads.
I totally forgot as I left. My skill is no longer being a salesperson, but a leader. Where yours is still in sales. You're the 400-pound gorilla, mate.
Yeah.
You're acting like if the shoe wasn't on the other foot, mate, we wouldn't be talking about exactly the same thing.
Oh no, actually no. My text would have been way better.
The look on your face, mate, when I got that appointment didn't say leader to me. It said defeated.
Oh,
It was like, where am I going to hide the body?
All right, how are you guys going? Again, first of all, thank you very much, Lou.
yeah,
I got it.
yeah, you all got it.
Everyone got it. So you want to talk about your wine?
Oh look, I didn't do too much research into it. I came up.
Why would you change?
Oh.
Why would you change your winning formula?
No, it came recommended. It's a 2016 Pinot Noir, as you already know. Exceptional flowering season in December 2015, which led to a bumper crop, which led to this wine here today. The fellow on the front in the red there, that's a Maori navigator by the name of Kupi, I believe, who found the land. So that's about as much and as all I know. Martinborough, New Zealand. Should be a good drop.
Hey, that false humility is very unbecoming, Lou. I don't know much about it.
Pinot Noir, 6 years old.
I don't go into as much detail as you can. That's
You know the name of the bloke on the label on the boat he was driving.
Because it's written on the back, mate.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's a lot more full body than a normal Pinot.
Yeah.
That's,
It's almost like a Shiraz, isn't it? It's real rich.
more like a Merlot, a bit of like a Merlot or a Malbec. That's nice.
Yeah. It's got character, hey, as opposed to some of them I taste and I just think, what is this?
They're a bit bland. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got some real kick to it. That's nice. Really nice.
Yeah. Oh, well, enjoy.
Good choice, Lou.
Pardon?
Good choice.
Thank you.
What does it rate on Vivino? 2
No, come on. I don't even know that I checked, to be honest.
I did. It was like a 3.8.
You did.
Why did they put a Shiraz in a Pinot label?
Yeah, it's about a 3.8 or something like that.
All right.
But it's nice.
So what's new this week?
Whoa, four, Chris, just so you know, proof's in the pudding.
Oh, you voted for it 3 times. Sorry.
What's old is what's new.
Who watched the debate? Who watched the debate?
I didn't watch it. No.
I didn't watch it, actually. I didn't watch it.
No, me neither. But apparently, Albanese won just.
5%, yeah. But apparently also what I did hear, 25%, 25 people in the room still hadn't voted. So
there was only 100.
There was only 23 people in the room.
Yeah, 35 of
And there's only a handful of people in the room to start with. So
wasn't there
35 for Albanese, 30 for ScoMo, and the rest was still undecided.
Yeah. I think that my point is, beside the media, it feels like people are disinterested this time.
Mm.
Oh, because we just had to. We've just been fed so much
crap.
nationalism the last 2 years, like it
Yeah.
really is.
I
And
think
we don't do elections well, and by that I mean the Americans have got it covered as far as the theatre and the drama and the
yeah,
turning it into an event. Like our two choices are the most boring humans on
yeah,
this earth. So,
this is it.
but I did see Pauline needs to get more credit, man. I watched 5 minutes of Paul Murray live on Sky News, and she had Palmer on, Catter on, Campbell Newman on, and Pauline on, and they were in a pub doing a panel, and she was going off. Mate.
Yeah.
He was going off. Her face was matching the colour of her hair at one stage. That's nothing to do with the
shout out to all the
That's nothing to do with the curtains matching the drapes. It was a face.
Let's put the shout out to all the pollies listening to this wonderful podcast. If you want to up your voter base, how about you reach out and jump on for a session with us for a
Yeah.
10-minute episode? Hey, how's that?
That'll change two of the undecideds, mate.
Just nice and easy and go slow. How's that?
Yeah, no, I think I did hear something this morning. One of the pollies was saying it needs to, the political side of it, obviously it needs to be there, but it needs to be not made about that. It needs to be more focused based on the community, just with everything that's happened and, you know, the last 2 or 3 years or however long it's been now. It doesn't appear to be a lot of community-based stuff. There's a lot of
Name calling.
Yeah, and that's it. The real, I think the schoolyard tactics or antics that they usually bring, they just need to leave that out because people are just over it. Like, just man up, grow up, lead the damn country and bring something decent to the table, you know? Yeah.
I just think they keep running. We get bored because cost of living and taxes is all they talk about any election.
Exactly.
And I don't think we really care. Like, if bread goes up in price, we've still got to buy it. And everyone who says they're going to cut taxes usually doesn't. Like, I think the apathy comes from we know they're full of shit.
Yeah.
Once someone actually starts sticking to what they're telling us, then there might be more interest. But I think when you're sitting across from someone and you clearly know they're full of shit, it's like when Lou goes on one of her rants on this show, I just tune out. I don't care anymore because you just don't.
Yeah.
But Lou, to backtrack, a few weeks ago he was talking like an underprivileged. Today he's talking like he's rich.
Well, he actually knows something.
Cost of living, who cares? It's like everybody. I do care about cost of living.
No, but all I can afford to feed my kids is bread. But if the price of bread goes up, I've still got to feed them, don't I?
What about when you see Clive Palmer's ad on TV and he says interest rates will rise to 6% and you will lose your house? It's like, it's so ridiculous. I mean,
And then he goes, I'll fix it under 3% for 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you
I
going to
joined the Palmer party one year. Cost me $20. It was when he was going to build the Titanic in Jurassic Park again. I thought, this is my kind of guy.
That's right. Yeah, that island in Queensland or whatever. He had some ridiculous.
But I actually looked up the other day, same night actually. I looked up. I'm like, I wonder how much money he's got because he's been running ads for quite a while now. And I heard a while ago that he was in a bit of. He wasn't as rich as everyone thought. There was varying reports, but the lowest number I found online was 2.2 billion. So he'll be okay.
He'll be fine.
He'll be okay.
Absolutely.
One of them said 16.5 billion and the other one said 2.2. It's a fair gap, but either way, he's okay.
I'll take the bottom figure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think what's new, what should be new is still going is the war in Ukraine. I've said it many times, but I hate how the news gets bored and they no longer talk about stuff. But Russia retreated and regrouped, and now they're smashing the shit out of eastern Ukraine, and it's getting still very, very nasty over there, and not getting any better.
Yeah.
There's a few things in it. Also, in the north, you have Finland now trying to join NATO, so that's giving him a little bit of headache there too.
Mm. Yeah.
That's why today, I think it was today or was it yesterday? He's now tested the huge ballistic missile that is capable of just destroying a part of England just like this.
I know it's not a funny subject, but I did have to laugh. One article I read said Zelensky's now filled out the forms required to apply to join NATO. I'm like, it's like going for your license or something, is it? We just fill out a form. The way it read was he's now filled out the paperwork necessary to apply.
Just waiting for 3 forms of ID.
Yeah, they're waiting for 100 points to.
Well, maybe it's not none of your business there, but what's big this week is the this morning, Australian time, 8 o'clock, there was a debate in France because by the end of this week, there will be an election there. So we either have Macron or the new one, right? Le Pen. So that's a big thing, a big deal there that's happening. But another thing that is also a big deal is now, what is it? The tennis, Wimbledon has now banned Russian and Belarusian players.
Wow, I didn't hear that.
And Djokovic butt in and said, that's wrong.
Djokovic. He can't win, that bloke. He's just...
That'd be more than half the field. Geez, there's a lot of people from that part of the world.
I know, hey, yeah.
Especially, men, I was about to say especially the women, but the men, all of them too. Well, just back to France, TL, because I know nothing about it. What's the battle there? What's the politics on either side of that?
Well, one is obviously more centered, so Macron, but he's been very arrogant he's a young president, I think he's 45. And so he won his first time when he was just 39. Can you imagine this? I mean, just crazy, right?
Wow.
But he's much more eloquent now, and he knows how to play the game, where the other one, she's 53, I think, Marine Le Pen, and she is far right. It's like, if I get in, anything that's got jihad or anything at all removed, it's illegal to wear them. It's going to be things like really far right style. So it's crazy how Europe now is being, there's an enormous push going back that way, you know?
So that's what I was going to say. What's the sentiment in France? Because I have a lot of problems.
Well, the sentiment
problems with terrorism and the stuff associated.
I reckon the way I look at it, the sentiment is that a lot of people are fed up with having a lot of foreigners and people who come to the country and try to impose their ways rather than embrace the new way. And so I would say that that's the real sentiment. But people are not going to really go there with their vote, I think, because there's going to be a civil war.
Well, that's the sentiment amongst every right-leaning party. That's One Nation and Palmer United. And anytime there's some sort of racial debate, even in Australia, it's always about, hang on, you come here, you adopt our way of life, rather than a lot of the time it feels like we're getting forced to adopt other people's cultures or
why we compromise
our way of living to fit them in, you know. And that's the sort of the never-ending debate. But I guess once you go far right, you're taking it to the nth degree. And it was interesting actually being in Sutherland yesterday, Chris. It's I'd never been to that part of the world before, and it's going to be a very general comment, but you look at the names on the call list we were doing, and you understand the Cronulla somewhat, because it's a very Anglo-Saxon area, isn't it? And
very Anglo area. And you guys found it
drive through Bankstown to get there, and these places you had to drive through all these other areas to get there, and then we got there, and everyone last name was Smith. It was interesting, and you start to understand, because obviously, apart from a crap football team, that area associates to me in my head. You say Cronulla, I'll say right, sort of thing. That's one of the But you understand the mentality down there a little bit.
Good place to prospect, though. Everyone speaks English when you're calling people. So
they're all Aussie.
And that's the other thing. A majority, 99% of the people you speak to are nice to you on the phone. And I've said to them, so many people have gone, good luck with your new venture. I hope it's successful. If I'm in the area, I'll pop in and blah, blah, blah. So,
they can be nice. None of them have to work, mate. They're all home during the day. What do they do?
There are a lot, but a lot of them work from home. So COVID's allowed that change for a lot of the nation. And fortunately, in that area, you have a lot of that lower white class worker where, the office work and so forth. And they're at home. It's, either the mum or both, mum and dad are home.
It's the most polite suburb I've ever called. Even when they were and they weren't interested, they'd say, good luck, hang up.
But it's a funny thing because it's so buzzing. It's so as busy as Cabramatta or Bankstown, and yet it's just so calm too, at the same time. Man, I love your office. I reckon I mean, mind you, we were, what is it? 7 of us in the room. That was, man,
About 45 square
that
meters.
was noisy at some stage. That was really
Oh,
noisy.
yes. It's like my
There was
office.
7. There's 7 chairs in my office, and there were 7 guys prospecting.
Yeah.
Serious. There's only 7 chairs in the whole office, and there were 7 bums.
That
One of
was-
them was too big for any seat that he found, but there were 7 bums for the 7 seats. So
Did you notice, and probably no one cares, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Did you notice how, because it was so loud, when there was a rare 30 seconds when no one spoke, how awkward it was?
it was.
There was some really awkward silences where I started looking around.
yeah. No, that's
Right,
good.
let's talk about the topic for the week.
Mm.
Lou, what is the topic for the week?
Topic of the week, we're going to talk about ANZAC Day and everything about ANZAC Day. I think there's a lot to talk about. There's some good stories that we probably know. There's some facts that we're probably unaware of. So yeah, I think it's a great topic. And well, what is it? Monday. ANZAC Day is on Monday, 4 days away. So why not? Yeah.
All right, then let's start with you. What do you see? What's ANZAC Day for you?
Oh, look, ANZAC Day represents, I suppose, the spirit that we talk about. And when I did the research, looking at how it all unfolded, like, for them to land on the wrong beach in the first place, 8,500 Aussies died, and 2,700 something New Zealanders died. And, I think that the
Only 500 of those were sheep.
I think the spirit that represents was the fact that they landed on the wrong beach to begin with. They're supposed to land on a nice flat level beach, but they landed on the hills, but they didn't just stop there and go, shit, we're out, and turn around. They persevered and they fought on. And I think in the end it went for 8 months or 8 months and 10 days or something like that. But the spirit, but some of the stories that I unveiled about it, and I see now what it means when we talk about it often in our seminars and stuff like that. And you've always got some kind of sense of what the spirit means. But when I was reading about the private John Kirkpatrick, who was a medic, for the ANZACs, the Australian medic, and he spent days and nights out on the field with his donkey, and he rescued the injured soldiers, and he alone saved 300 wounded soldiers. And I think when we talk about the spirit, that's what it encaptures, is people like him who put his life on the line for his mates who were down and out and, hurt. His life meant nothing at that time because it was all about saving his mates, and 300 of them at that, which is incredible. Yeah. So there's obviously lots more, but I don't know, what else did you guys, what's your thoughts, or what did you guys get out of the research and reflecting back?
Good chat. Well, I think, there was no research done for me because the stories of ANZAC Day have been told for many, many years, and it's one of the most important days of the year to me. And I had to sit back and think about why. And it used to be about, both my pops served in World War II. Growing up, I was very, very interested in war history and everything around the army. All I wanted to do was join the army, so I know quite a bit about the actual ins and outs of it. But ANZAC Day is supposed to be about sacrifice. It's supposed to be about resilience. It's supposed to be about overcoming adversity. It's supposed to be about doing things, jumping in front of a bullet for complete strangers. I mean, we say doing stuff for your mates. These people weren't mates when they went over. They were conscripts or people who just joined the war to fight for a cause, right? And then, when we chose this topic, I had to think about what it means to me now. And unfortunately, not like me to be negative, it's sort of a story of what I feel we've lost as a society and lost as a community. And I don't, the sacrifice for others isn't there anymore. I think in a lot of ways, the resilience isn't there anymore. The willing to do something for others without expecting something in return, or even at the risk of your own detriment, isn't there anymore. And I think it's an opportunity each year to look back at what our values should be compared to where they currently are. I think when the first COVID lockdown happened and everyone started fighting over toilet paper.
Yeah.
I did a talk at a war memorial on Facebook Live saying, these guys gave their lives so you could fight over toilet paper. They'd be turning in their graves. And I don't think we know as a nation anymore what the ANZAC spirit means. It's great to get together on Monday and get pissed and throw coins in the air, but it used to mean something, and now I don't think to most people. You can count the people with true ANZAC spirit on one hand, I think, if you look around your actual circle. So, sorry to be a downer, but that's where I just...
No, mate, we're going to get into that. I think that's spot on. Australia, I think, found its identity, its individuality through, World War I, and not having to live under the shadow of, Britain or England at the time, and we were able to be a nation off the backs of these men who fought, and not only in Gallipoli but through World War I. Australia really identified itself as a nation, and that mateship you're talking about is right. They put their life on the line for complete strangers, and that continued when they come back. That let's go help the mates, on the farm, or help him build the house or whatever. Not for their handout, but just for no other reason than to go help their mate without expecting anything. And that was like what I experienced yesterday with you guys coming down to give me a hand. It was amazing. It was fantastic, but there's not a lot of that exists anymore. Yeah, it's unfortunately that when it is done, people do have an agenda, and it's society in general. I mean, there's a lot of stories we can talk about that, like, the media has done the wrong thing by returned servicemen throughout different wars and coming back and creating the wrong image for these guys. But, what have we learned as a society from them? To really be selfish. And that's the unfortunate thing. I think we truly have lost that mateship, lost that, the good humour, the ability to have a laugh at each other and not take it serious and slap each other on the back and go, oh, you're a dickhead. And still be mates at the end of it, and walk away and have a good time. I think a lot of people have lost that ability just to laugh at themselves and not take themselves so serious. And if when they do, it's for someone else.
I think it's too easy. I mean, you talk about yesterday, Chriso, but in the grand scheme of things, yesterday was nothing, mate.
No, it's not. It's not nothing. It's a small gesture that meant the world to me.
Yeah, no, I know.
I know that. And you know what? I come to your place a few years ago and spoke about auctioning. I loved it. I loved the day I come up there. But you guys took heaps out of it, right? But that's what mates do for each other. We do stuff with no agenda other than to
that's
help.
What I mean. That's what I mean for mates. But what we've lost is the ability to do it for complete strangers, and the ability to and the ability to do it where it might be actually detrimental to yourself. There's still the story of the guy that'll swim over and punch a shark, or the guy who, there's stories of people getting on jet skis during the floods and this and that. There are still those people, but it used to be everyone, right? And now it's such a minority. And what I meant by yesterday being nothing, to help a mate is nothing. To help someone when there's very little risk to yourself is nothing. But we find, and it was actually one of the things we spoke about when COVID first happened. We soon found out how much everyone's in it for themselves now. And I just don't think that's the foundations the community, the country was built on. That's not there's no pride now. No one stands up. I hate the national anthem because I think we could have done much better. I could write a better song, but you go to a sporting event now, and it used to be one of the things, you get full of beers and everyone would sing the national anthem together at the start of it. No one even sings it now. There's the spirit, mate. The ANZAC spirit is Aussie spirit, and we've lost it.
When you look back too, and how many blokes lied about their age to go to help, and fight for their country. Like, you think about the kids these days, and I'm not going to say that all of them are the same, but there's a lot of kids that wouldn't lie about their age to go somewhere to put their life on the line for people they didn't know. Because if they did, they'd be saying, what do I get in return? So I think that something was lost, something's been lost in that time. As you guys are saying, there's just not that same commitment or what's the passion or whatever the word is to
I think to that point, Lou, I think a lot of that was, and if you listen to the stories and watch the documentaries and do all the stuff, a lot of kids jumped in because war was an unknown thing then, and it was exciting, and they didn't know what they were getting themselves into. I don't think that a lot of the 17-year-olds or 16-year-olds who lied about their age were actually doing it to save the world. They thought it was going to be fun, right? And
or a better life, yeah.
A quick landing on Gallipoli
Yeah.
soon killed that. And now that's switched from the army to, we're going to jump in. Now that war's become so real, because we've been in wars for a long time now. Afghanistan was 20 years or whatever, Iraq was 10. That's no longer a myth anymore, and the curiosity is not there. But now it's gangs and kids stabbing each other and shooting each other and doing that sort of thing, because that's the unknown until they kill somebody. So I don't think that spirit's actually left the kids, because but now they're more into stabbing each other on Ferris wheels than they are lying about their age to join the army.
Yeah, true.
And you'll get more. You can tell. It's funny how it's not really ANZAC, but I look at all these foreigners that jump on board to go and fight in Ukraine or Russia, and all I can think in my head is these guys just love shooting. Like they're not going over there to actually defend the Ukraine. I think you guys have just got that bug in you that thinks it'll be a good time until you get over there, you know. But that's a little bit off topic. Thomas, you haven't said a word.
Oh, because I haven't been brought up around you guys, but I have to say it's taken me a long time to really embrace this tradition, or I even understand it. But I have to say that from doing my research, Cam, you're very, very close to the spirit of ANZAC. And I'm not saying this to put you up on a pedestal, because I know that you've taken your team down to the Wisebury Jewel office when you had to make money, and in the year when you barely broke even. And so I also know that it was your idea to go down to Chris. You called me about 10 days ago and do that. And so yesterday it was not really nothing, because we are not the best in Kiranive, and we still had to close down the office to all go down. And then you also took your office in Carrion to go down. So I think that there was a sacrifice. So I don't think it's nothing. The reason why I also say is that you're the epitome of it. A lot of the ANZAC boys went because of the adventure, and also it was an opportunity to leave Australia. And they have an enormous amount of banter among them. When you have a look, they went over there, they had 4 months of training. The bantering is like, it was like just taking civilians and trying to turn them into soldiers. It was police academy in the ANZAC, you know. And yesterday when we did the phone prospecting in the afternoon, that was the bantering. I thought, man, what a camaraderie ship, you know, in terms of the boys were having fun. We were trying to lead them from the front by having more fun than them and being more silly than them. And I think that you're the king of silly, Cam. Anyone who's been watching even half an episode of the podcast would have known. So I think that the spirit of the ANZAC, I have not seen it. And I come from Europe. I haven't seen it over there. That doesn't exist. And when you're talking about they were defending people they didn't know, I think that Australians will welcome strangers very quickly because of that. And the sense of adventure, they were around, a lot of people were around people they knew. I know that the youngest person Reginald Garth, he was 12. He actually was a stowaway. He was 12.
Wow.
He went to Gallipoli because his father enlisted and his 3 brothers. So a lot of those guys were around their mate, around their brothers, sure, when they wanted to come back, there was none of that, because it was so hard for them to come back afterwards that really the RSL was created to actually help repatriate those guys, because the government wouldn't do it. So I think that yesterday, going over there and doing the prospecting, the 7 of us, including Chris, to help him out there and to create 11 listing appointment was not really the thing that I was looking at. But to have that bantering spirit where we were all laughing, where making a phone prospecting call was not even a problem. I have to tell you, I was a bit shaky on the first one, because that's when I realized, Thomas, you're a little bit rusty. Right? But then by the second one, I was fine. And third one, I started to be on the numbers. And then something really bad happened to me. The competitive nature about I have to find one got into me, and now I'm going through the numbers, doing all that stuff. And so when I didn't find one, but Cam beat me at the end, I was not happy because I don't participate. I joined to win.
Compete, mate.
Good news is tomorrow my office, it's on again. You can
No, but the biggest thing, and I called Chris afterwards and I said, what did you get today? And he said, oh man, I learned I have to build a team. But when I called the team in the car, it was Kane who said, no, Thomas, I could feel the spirit of ANZAC you were talking about in the morning, because I spoke to them in the morning to prep them up. And I said, I don't care, there's no chairs, because there won't be too many chairs. If there's no chairs, we sit down on the ground and we don't whinge and we make our calls. But then that was the spirit. And when Kane brought that up, I felt it, man. It was we were in the room, Lou, that was about 4.5 to 5 meters by 4.5, right? So you imagine this. There's 7 guys.
Yeah.
And Stephen is the guy that screamed the most. It's like the sound's got the time to go back and forth like 6-7 times by the time it's died, and yet it felt like we were in the trenches. So don't say it was nothing. We felt like we were in the trenches. And now I know when that whistle happens in the trenches in Gallipoli, why the boys would just go, because they went, hold on, if I just go first, I can actually try and go over there, or I would be so ashamed if my mate got a bullet before me, almost.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
I think I said resilience and all that sort of stuff, but one of the other values of ANZAC is to compete.
Yeah.
It's to compete, and that's what happened yesterday, and that's what should happen in everyday life.
Yeah, but you cheated with you got the right list. I didn't get the right list. Okay,
it's not about having to win. It's not about having to win, but it's about competing in a challenge, and life is a challenge, right? And too many people won't compete, and will invent too many rules or too many ways to stop it being a competition, and that's wrong. That's wrong. That's not the spirit. Mates can compete and still be mates. Colleagues can compete and still be colleagues. One of the things I love about our Heritage office is the competition there is off the charts, Heritage and Charmhaven. But that competition lifts. Maybe it steps over the line. Sometimes maybe it doesn't. A lot of the time, the banter's off the wall. You talk about banter, Thomas, Jesus Christ. We got nothing on them, but the competition, we don't compete enough in life anymore.
Yeah.
We don't. Instead of competing, we come up with a reason why we don't have to. And unfortunately, sometimes even as leaders, we make the rules such, or we make it easier for people to not have to compete. And that's not ANZAC. That's not what we're about. That's not.
ANZAC is not just Gallipoli, right? ANZAC is way beyond Gallipoli. We might have lost 8,000 at Gallipoli, but the following year, I think we lost more than 20,000 people, 25, or
65 in world.
Battle of the Somme, it's everywhere, right? I think Gallipoli is a poster child because it's the first time Australian and New Zealand forces had fought together, right? That's where it was born. But ANZAC is a spirit. It's not an event, it's a spirit.
But the numbers that really shocked me was that we had to really go back. We about, what is it now, 21 million people in Australia, almost 22?
25.
Back in those days, we were 5 million.
4,900.
So to have almost 500,000 going to war in a country where there's 5 million, I mean, it's just mind-blowing. And then the biggest thing that really got to me was, imagine all the mothers that stayed back. I know that there was a few women who enlisted, But imagine the mother who's lost now 4 sons and the father who's gone. And that to me was really also the spirit of ANZAC.
Absolutely.
Now, while we've been talking, I've been trying to think why have we lost it? Why have we lost our way a little bit? I think comes down to maybe something similar to when we're speaking about why marriage fails. We talk about how the different values change. I think everyone's values were very much in line at the beginning of the century when we've returned from war. And they were all very much in line all the way through to, World War I, World War II, and even maybe up towards Vietnam. And that was, whether it's a virtue or a value, whatever you want to call it. I think as we've gotten older as a country and our population has grown and society has evolved, I think those values are so misaligned now compared to where they were that many years ago. I think that's maybe one of the big reasons why we've maybe lost our way with that ANZAC spirit.
I think we lost it too because we're not reminding people. Do you know one of the things that I love the most when I go to the RSL is at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Is that pre-dawn thing too, which is happening on Monday, but we're not doing that. Instead of getting the Australian anthem, maybe the classroom before we start should have that 1 minute. And replay that lest we forget and get them to watch that flame. I mean, these days, even the flame is a freaking picture on the screen. I can't believe it.
Yeah. You remember
get the real flame going, right? And have that 1 minute. Mate, I'm telling you, I've attended those 1 minute a few times. It stirs you every single time deeper and deeper.
It doesn't matter how many beers deep you are at an RSL at 11 o'clock every day and 6 o'clock every evening when you stand and face the west. You remember, and there's always a gut check moment. There's always 30 seconds of what am I doing with my life, and
but I'm sure you guys have probably been to a few dawn services over your time, and I've maybe been to 1 or 2, and I think during COVID, do you remember the young kid, because we weren't able to attend the dawn services, the young kid that played the last post on his driveway and the momentum it created on social media? To me, that was so amazing. That felt different, and that felt like a coming together and an actual realization of understanding the, and like you said, Cam, like a gut moment, what it really meant. But prior to that, I think growing up, people my age, what I witnessed with guys my age particularly, and it's terrible, but they used ANZAC Day. It was almost like an excuse to get drunk with your mates and get, drink rum at 6 o'clock in the morning and all. It was not even about a celebration or, a remembrance of the people who have served and lost and still serving or anything. It was just, it felt so wrong for so long to me. That kid during COVID playing that last post on his driveway, that was really, really tough, especially because none of us could leave home and we were just stuck in our homes, and it was just so amazing.
But I think that the tale is going to be in what happens next Monday when this is our first, we're not in lockdown this year.
That's right.
And I'm sorry to play devil's advocate and skeptic, but all that driveway stuff during lockdown, it was an excuse for people to walk out their front door. Right, it was easy to make ANZAC Day a big thing, but the big thing was let's all stand in our driveway. It wasn't, I don't know how much actual reflection was going on because we're just looking for something to cling on to during these times.
That's only for the dawn service, but that's not the major concern for me. It's like
I just mean, but that's an event for the sake of an event, not.
It's like we have Mother's Day coming up, and then people are asking me. I mean, I'm in my family, obviously. What are we doing for Mother's Day? I said, listen, it's Mother's Day every day.
Every day.
Right. So it's ANZAC spirit every single day. I mean, when was the last time you found out? I mean, Cam, you've done it for the Dural office. You now help Chris with Sutherland, and I know you've done with other offices. How many leaders really have done that? How many leaders would sit there and say, yeah, it's fine for you to come and help me. But when it was their turn, did they put their hand up? How many leaders really, and you don't have to put anyone in, Chris, how many of our leaders, our own leaders at Wisebury, made a phone call, made the time to call you and find out, mate, are you okay? Do you need any help? All right, because will come down. I think that's the spirit of ANZAC. If it has to be on the 25th of April each year, then stop this. It's a wrong reason for celebrating something like this. That is why what Cam said at the beginning, I can't believe that I'm agreeing with Cam in the podcast. What he said at the beginning, that it's lost. It's not lost, Cam. There's still special individuals who will still have that. But in general, it's been diluted. And maybe we've got too many foreigners, and me included, mate. It's taken me years to really understand. However, I've got a lot of family stuff. I've got a lot of, and coming over here without my parents here, without my family, the mates that I have here, the friends I have here, they become family. They really, I think that this is the next question I'm asking you. What is mateship? Because I don't know, is mateship better than friendship? Or is it better than brotherhood?
It's a different topic, isn't it? Why'd you switch the topic on us, mate?
I'm just going to ask that, and then we can come back.
I think we said this a couple of weeks ago. Friend, mate, brother. Yeah. I had my hierarchy. I can't remember exactly.
I think it went friend, mate, brother. I think that's how you described it, Cam. Friend, mate,
brother. And then, you know, family. If I say family, and if I say, you know, come here, my familiar, is something I say to people. If I say that, I mean that, and I don't throw that around. Mate's a hard one because we're Aussie, and especially because I'm an Ocker Aussie. Even when I want to punch someone in the face, I go, "Come on, mate." Even when I want to run someone over with a truck, there's probably a mate thrown in there somewhere. But that's why, mate, if you don't stop.
I'm going to be late again.
I met I caught it. Someone came around a couple of weeks ago I hadn't seen for a long, long time, and the last time we spoke wasn't on very good terms. And I had to, as he was walking up the driveway, talk to myself, going, "Don't say mate, don't say mate, don't say mate." Like I was talking myself out of saying mate. But for me, brother is and that's even like you can ask many of my female friends. I'll call them brother too, but that's because I think sister doesn't sound as powerful. But brother is a be all and end all, and that doesn't have to be blood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, so here's another thing about Chris. Why has it gone? Have we got too many foreigners, and are we not teaching the foreigners how to really embrace the Australian culture?
I'm glad the foreigner went there because I was wondering whether we could ask the question on the podcast.
Listen, you're talking to the deputy for the One Nation Party.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? My old man came out when
Tom Smith. When it was sorry, Chris, you go.
My old man came out when he was 19, and so he came out in the early 60s. I think it was 62. Workers of government scheme, you know, that's why they got the word WOG and so forth, and he helped build part of Australia. But anyway, there was always respect for your neighbour, and we had Australians each side, but there was always that love for your neighbour, and it didn't matter if they were an Aussie or an Italian or Greek or whatever they were. There was always that respect and that mateship that we talk about that we used to have, and it didn't matter what nation you came from. But I think as we've grown as a nation, and I said it before, and introduced further cultures, they've unfortunately entrenched themselves into certain pockets and kept and not melded into our culture. And we mentioned it before about France. I think you mentioned before, why isn't people standing up every morning and, I don't know, you know, listening to the national anthem or pledging allegiance to the flag like they do in America or whatever it is? I think we'll have such a bloody kick up because there's so much of a kick up now. Well, why are we celebrating, you know, Christmas? We don't believe in Christmas. You know, why are we doing this? Because that's not our culture. I just don't think. I think what they call it, a nanny state.
What we're doing is
we're not taught either.
No, but hang on.
We're not allowed to, though, I don't think.
Hang on. So to take it down the same path but different, I think we're mixing culture with religions.
Yeah, but hang on.
Italians, predominantly Christian, yes.
And all, the Greeks were Orthodox, which are
most of the
close to
country, most of the nationalities that you mentioned, Italians, Greeks, and we're a Christian-based country based on Christian values. And as long as you came from a Christian-based country where you had similar values, all right.
True.
But what about guys? Hang
on, Lou. I've got to finish my point here. The cultures that have eroded our Christian values have a different religion, and that's fact. That's fact.
That is fact. That is fact. But also, when you take it back even further, like particularly Chris and Cam and myself, think back to when you were younger, before social media. What would happen in the backyard, and where would you find out all your information? And you'd stand out there and you'd see your parents talking over the fence for hours on end to your next door neighbour. What has social media done to change the whole ANZAC?
Isolated everyone. It's isolated people.
And it's made people, it's given them power to sit behind their screen and, you know, isolate themselves, but also throw their two bobs in. But, you know, what about those days? I could walk out my grandparents' door and my nan would sit there and talk over the fence for 3 hours. They don't do that anymore. Fences are 7 foot tall and you don't even know your neighbour, and you've lived there 7 years. You know, that's the spirit that's lost. Knowing your neighbour and caring about your neighbour and knowing everybody in your street. I've had people saying you guys would be the same. You're all in the same industry. I've gone to a property and they said, oh, we've lived here for 10 years. We don't even know the people next door. What the hell's that? You know, whereas when
my neighbours work for a different real estate company, so they might as well be wearing a Nazi Germany.
But when I grew up, it was so different, and I'm sure you guys were the same. When you grew up, you hung out with everyone in the street. You knew everyone in the street, and if not the whole block. And you know, like that's what's missing as well. Everybody.
Are we wrong to?
I'm not forgiving. I mean, I'm not here trying to look for an excuse for the foreigners, but sometimes it's also language.
Yeah.
When I first came to this country and I saw free range eggs, I thought, Jesus, he's such a nice guy, Mr. Range. He's giving free eggs away, you know, and so I used to pick them up, but then my mentality from Europe kicked in. It's like, the people are stupid here. They're leaving all of these eggs, so I'm taking all the boxes.
Oh my
so
God.
I'm leaving, and after a little while, I kid you not, after a few weeks, I'm thinking, this Mr. Range, he's so rich, he's got so many properties, and he's got eggs everywhere. And I think that the language is also something that is maybe a bit of a barrier. That I think, and without language, you can't transmit traditions.
Yeah, but Paul and Hanson would just be saying learn English, right? So
I was learning English. I knew what eggs was, and I knew what free was.
So you brought up the population before. So at World War I, we were 4.9 million people, and how many of them would have been foreigners? What percentage?
Yeah, very low, mate. Would have been.
Right. And now we're 25 million people, but what percentage? We brag about being the most multicultural society on.
It'd have to be 40%.
Huge percentage. So, of course, the culture, the virtues are going to erode. Now, I mentioned religion before. I'm not religious now. I was raised a Catholic, but there is something in common with the people who don't espouse the ANZAC values as such, and we're not allowed. The people who have fought the ANZAC spirit in Australia and allow Australia to be Australia, have a different set of core values, and that's based around their faith. Right? That can't be argued with.
The values have changed, yeah.
And that is, and you know, and I mentioned the Cronulla riots before. As wrong as it all was, that was based around people being fed up with not allowed to have their values, but not visitors to the country, new people to the country being allowed to live theirs. Why can, like, people can come here and live their life as if they'd never left home. We're going to Australia for a better life as long as we can do exactly what we were doing here.
That's fine.
Australians get fed up, and I know we're all Australians, right? So they're all doing a very bad job.
That's the great thing about Australia, Cam, is that we allow people to do that, allow to come here from your country and live your life as you see fit. The problem we have is when they start trying to enforce it on everyone else and change our way of life to fit theirs. Yeah, that's where we have that issue. That's where the big issues come up.
And in schools, then becoming an ANZAC spirit, it becomes hate, right? So and it becomes racism, and it becomes all the stuff that's attached to it.
Again, in the defense, again, as a deputy for the National Party, I just want to make the point. When I first arrived in this country in 1988, every single door was open. You'd go to a door, people would go on holiday for 2 weeks, and the front door was not locked. It's like, doesn't make sense.
Is that a culture issue or a safety issue? Because Lou said the same thing. Your kids used to play in the street. Like, there's reasons I don't let my kids play in the street anymore.
But I had to let me finish. The way that you asked for Lou not to interrupt, you're gonna have to let me finish. So when I arrived, it's all open, right? So in my own head, it's not right. And then probably foreigners arrived, and we started to rob them. And people start to lock doors. When I first arrived in this country, the Aussie spirit is, mate, how you going? Always there to help you to just start flying, right? Why don't you see it now? Because the people who start flying, do they return it like a boomerang? Or does the real Aussie feel like, hold on, I was there to help you fly, and mate, as a mate, you should help me fly too when you're flying. But it's a one-way street. So I think that in many ways, for foreigners with their ways of living, and for a lot of foreigners coming over here and they go, hold on, you can take all these things and you don't have to return. Fantastic, I'm ashamed to say it, right? I seen even the Belgian way of being. It's whatever you can get for free, mate, just get it.
Oh.
And I don't even get it because I've got Vietnamese blood in me, and I'm going, no, you don't do it. It's about giving back. But there's enormous amount of, from the European ways of, let's take it as long as we can take it's free, grab it. And I think that has killed a lot of that spirit.
Yeah.
You think, to get crazy tinfoil hat stuff, do you think the world, the universe, God, whoever you believe in, keeps giving us opportunities to get that spirit back, and we just keep pissing all over it? Like, we have bushfires where we could band together and help each other, and we end up fighting over where the charity money goes. We've had the floods, and all we're doing is trying to crucify the government over it. We've had COVID where we thought we could band together, and then we fight over toilet paper. We keep getting all these opportunities to go back to our core values as human beings, which is help each other, let's help each other evolve, and we keep fucking it up. Like, I don't know if we can't get it back. I think we're too far gone. I don't think we can get it back.
It's a hard call. I think it'd have to be something major. I don't think I don't know if another
even major than what we've gone through.
Coming down to Sydney,
like a common enemy. I don't know.
But by then it's too late. We're all fucked, right? If the meteorite's coming, we're gone. If Vladimir hits a button, we're gone. We're all waiting for, when it gets really bad, we come together. How much fucking worse has the world got to get?
We'll go to Carrion. We'll go to Carrion and hide inside your garage.
Your kids can't play in the front yard. You can't, mates aren't helping mates. People aren't talking to neighbours. How much worse has the world got to get before we wake up? I think we're too far gone. We're gone.
No, I'm not that defeatist. I think that it is going to be, it needs to take people to bring back that kind of tradition.
Yeah.
You know what?
People to wake up on Monday at 5 o'clock and say, no, kids, you come in with me, because we're going to see people who stopped us from speaking Japanese or German.
Yeah.
It's going to have that for people to get that. It's going to have to people from getting out from what I call the ghetto, right? I'm Vietnamese background, and I go over there just to have a nice soup. But otherwise, I keep on saying to them, no, just mix. Embrace what you have. Don't go over there and then try to conglomerate and reinvent another Vietnam. I think that's what it takes. It takes people to constantly chip at it.
How's that going to happen, mate? Who's going to instigate that? We're relying on individuals again. Part of it.
We have to. We can't do it as a whole. I think everyone has to do it as an individual. You do it, mate.
Part of the ANZAC spirit we've lost is that everyone is more in it for themselves now than ever before, and that's individual.
Unfortunately, it's like anything in the world. I mean, I think Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And mate, I think you're, and Thomas is right. You demonstrate that yourself, and you have this belief that it's dead in the world. But I think you're trying to keep it alive, which is a fantastic thing. And I think a lot of people have got to keep doing it, whether it's not as far as you do, little bits, helping a neighbour out, helping someone stranded on the side of the road, whatever it may be, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
No, he actually kept it alive until he put me down because he got an appointment when I asked you to give him the right list. Okay,
Mate, I'm the type of guy who I'd be in the trench with you, but if you got shot, I'd be going, I didn't.
No, because he's in the tunnel.
That's exactly what I did.
Yes, I would. And I would have buried you and would have kept you there, expecting until you get one.
I think you know something now, do you?
Yeah.
It's not about being defeated.
I think another thing that I thought about the ANZAC spirit is it's about having the ANZAC spirit for me is about doing the right thing. And to me, yes, at first there was a lot of people who went over there because it was a sense of adventure. It was an opportunity to leave Australia and see something different. And how can you travel when you're a 14-year-old and have no money and be able to go there? But as the momentum turned and Australia start to find out that, hold on, we are actually losing families and we're not making any advance.
Yeah.
The entire thing start to shift, and it shift into, hold on, it's the right thing to do now. If we're losing, we can't have that happening here. We're gonna have to go. And I see a lot of that in the ANZAC spirit. It doesn't matter if you're closing your show for a day and you're losing money because you're closing your show. It's the right thing to do. And that is something that people need to really share. We're talking about the same thing again, but we're talking about that sharing stuff. And the right thing to do comes at the cost to you. When I see now the right thing to do, if it doesn't cost me anything, that's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's the bit. We're all but that's the thing I brought up earlier. It's easy to help someone until it's actually going to potentially be to your own detriment, and that's where we fall down. That's where virtue signaling and all that stuff comes down. That's where all the people on social media, Lou, to your point, will brag about who they've helped or what they're doing to virtue signal until it's going to cost them.
Yeah.
Until there's a potential, and that's why someone pulling someone out of a flooded car, heroes, they should get medals, right? I'm not bagging that, but that should be the natural reaction.
That's
because
right.
But that because it's someone doing something to their own detriment, all of a sudden it's we all should be willing to do stuff to our own detriment to help other people.
Right. And
obviously that has limits, right? You've got to, there are points and there are times where
self-preservation. There's self-preservation.
Hang on. But most of us, employees won't stay an extra hour if they're not getting paid for it a lot of the time. Right? That's the employee mentality that has gone rife because of unions and people's rights and all that stuff. Unbelievable, mate. That's not ANZAC spirit.
No.
Thomas doesn't want me going there because we have employees, but not even.
No. That's not true. That's not true. What I'm saying, probably, if you're talking about employees leaving at 5 when the business is in trouble, that is the point.
That's what to their own, and it's not even to their own detriment. You're still getting paid.
Yeah.
But I have to get paid for every minute that I actually do something. That's not
right.
right?
Nobody's doing anything without expecting something in return, and that's the problem. Like back in the day, you do anything for anybody, and that was the spirit that was demonstrated. But now, as you're saying, Cam, everybody's doing something but expecting something in return.
You would turn up and do your job because it was
your
job.
It's not just employee, Cam.
No, it's not.
What about the leaders when COVID first started and just fired their staff or told their staff, listen, you're only going to work one day, I'm going to pay you, or you can leave. Yep. What about those employers, man?
100%, but they deserve those employees, okay? you get what you reap what you sow.
No, maybe they don't deserve those employees. They deserve same style of employees.
Yeah, they deserve. No, that's what I mean. They deserve to get
Those employees don't deserve
pay me
them.
for everything. You're going to be transactional. You deserve transactional back.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself transactional, but sometimes I'm getting.
In vino veritas,
This-
with more
This
wine.
is the best Shiraz I've ever. This is the best Shiraz I've ever had, Lou.
What did you say? Was that French? I didn't understand it.
No, that's Latin.
In wine we
With
speak
more,
of.
with wine, the truth emerges.
Oh, okay.
You know, when we're speaking about
No, but hang
how
on.
do we change it, and you look at this bloody election that's going on, what ANZAC spirit do you see in our leaders?
Yeah, none.
What mateship do you see in our leaders? They're freaking schoolyard bullies calling names to each other.
Yeah.
You know what? You want a nation to change. You want a nation to embrace.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I disagree with you, man. I think that Albo and ScoMo right now are having a beer and saying, have a look at those 21 million idiots, man. They think that we for real.
100%.
Listen, mate, if I win, you still can come to my place for a beer. If you win, mate, make sure I come for another beer.
Who's going to go, yeah, I won.
It is.
I got the wrong list.
It's pay-per-view fight promotion 101. Before the fight, they're all up in each other's, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this to his mother, and I will never ever talk to this guy again. And as soon as the last punch is thrown and the bell rings, we're hugs and kisses, mate. The whole thing's a fraud. But
Yeah.
I think to Thomas's point, if you expect ANZAC spirit out of your staff, you better have it yourself.
Yeah.
But the disappointing bit is, TL, nothing hurts me more than we always look inward. So you're talking about, oh, I've got the spirit and I've got this or that. But when people who are under you or around you don't have it, there's nothing that hurts more. And you know, you can blame the unions and all that stuff, but paying double time and a half for people to work on a Saturday when they work every Saturday of their life and being asked for it, and look, there's nothing worse. And I, you know, one of my core values, which we've come to work out, is respect because of other reasons. But there are times where, regardless of what the leader's doing, that spirit isn't going to be there, and that's shit out. There's always someone who won't run out of the trench with you, right?
And that comes down to a bit of integrity, personal integrity too. So what they do by themselves is, you know, really speaks volumes. And if they're not doing that in front of you, mate, it's never going to be there. And I don't think you can teach that.
No, but then the other point is you get the staff. They're told their rights, right? You've got rights to this, and you've got rights to that, and you've got rights to this. So who are we to say no? You shouldn't ask for it, or don't expect it, or whatever, because that's what they're brought up in. But you know, my leaders went down. There was a time when I started, and both my leaders ended up in hospital because their health was terrible, and I'm the only one that went into the office. Everyone else kept their days off. And I'm like, well, these guys are down. Someone's got to step up. And I was new in the business. So I didn't have any fucking clue what I was doing, but someone had to do it. And no one else.
You've got 3 offices, and the other guys, they gone back to cooking.
Yeah.
And mate, listen,
it's not that hard. You know, when Thomas said before, it's worse. The business is in trouble and people don't do it like that. Fuck, where's it gone? Where's it gone? And I don't know where I learned. All I learned from my parents was to fucking work hard. I don't know where I learned it.
Yeah.
Now, I grew up in team sport where you had to have your brothers back. So where do you learn it? Team sport, you do the extras and you only get out of it what you put into it and all that bullshit. But fuck, where's it gone? Where's it gone? I don't know.
Oh, people are going to always look after themselves. You know, even during the COVID, I never put any one of my staff out. And some of them didn't even have if I put them out, they didn't have the status to even get any money from the Australian government. I did not put anyone out. But when COVID's finished, mate, they still moved on and do their own things. This is the thing that we're talking about. Is it loyalty? Is it not understanding? No, it doesn't really matter. What you have to do is that you have to live by your own values. And you know what it is in the end? Like-minded or like-value people will find each other.
That's right. Yeah.
Like finds like, yeah.
I mean, that's what's hard to get
I still think that the the RSL are doing a bloody good job twice a day to do this, but I think they're now stuffing it up by having it digital. That is, to me, one of the worst things you can do. That is to have a digital candle. If those guys got real bullet, not plastic bullets, we should keep on having a candle, not a digital shit.
Yeah.
You know what the stupid part is, mate? I might be wildly wrong, but that's probably some bureaucracy or some rule that says you can't have a live flame somewhere near
Keep running
something
around.
that is
Mm.
something.
Listen, there's nothing worse than fake. Right? We can talk about prospecting all day long, mate. There was nothing better than yesterday prospecting, the 7 of us in the room, with the noise, with the bantering, with the rejection that we sometimes got, or with the wrong. I mean, if you were in the room yesterday, Lou, and one person said the wrong line, you should have seen the things that were thrown at them, the lines that were repeated, the echoing.
What did Kane call Eaton Street Arcade? The Ether Street Arcade. Everyone walks in and passes out. It's the Ether Street Arcade. It was funny. And he guess what's it called? Was it write it down, son?
Listen, I learned a lot from Kane yesterday. Every time you go to the toilet, you come back with another 40 calls. He was good. He was good. But that's the fun bit, you know. And I don't know. Here's a question. How many of our First World War ANZAC do we still have alive?
No.
Well, I know that the last surviving ANZAC died in 2002, so 20 years ago. So, I mean, I know there's none of those guys left, but geez.
I mean none, Lou. The answer's none.
Yeah,
Zero.
well.
There's no First World War fighters.
How many of their family still left?
Oh, there'd be descendants.
All
Absolutely.
of them.
No, just family of the family, because you need to think about this. Many of them came back crippled. Many of them actually left. Apparently 80% of them, when they left, they were single, right? But they were engaged, or they were just, you know, and when they came back, they were crippled.
World War I, you can't have any immediate family left. You're too old.
Yeah.
Come on, man. The Japanese, they're all in the 120, 130 years
you have
old.
to be.
We should have at least one.
14 to 1918. If you were 15, then even if you went over at 15 or were married at 15,
Yeah, 122.
you're near 135. So,
So how many of you have got a young child that was born after you came back and still alive? None?
Yeah.
Okay. So is that spirit going to be buried? Is that going to be gone? Is ANZAC spirit doomed?
well, that's what I just said. And you told me.
No, we're asking.
You said you weren't as defeatist as me. You've just asked the same question. I think we're already doomed.
On the scale that we had it, yes, it is. I think on the scale we will never have it back as a nation as we were, because we are not the same.
The descendants of the descendants of the descendants. It's still in the blood. No, it is. It is. It's still in the blood. It's still in the DNA, but we're ignoring our DNA. We are ignoring our DNA. And I don't know how long it takes DNA to change, but I think it's
for the people who are really listening to us here now, let's go to this. When someone dies and you go and get a parcel to put the coffin, how long is that lease for?
99 years.
Is it still 99 years today?
I believe so.
Do you believe so? Do you know?
Well, I say believe so because I think I know.
You'll bet his house on it.
I have no idea.
Would you bet your house on that? No. Okay, because I know that in Europe, because they're running out of land, the 99 went down to 50. It's gone down to 25.
Yeah, it's the same in, but that's in Europe. There's too many bloody people there. Australia's huge.
And what they're saying is after 25 years, you can release it by paying more, but they do realize that the first generation will pay attention and will go to your tomb and put flowers. The next generation doesn't give a shit.
No, that's so sad.
That's true.
And so the second generation down does not even pay attention to who you even were. I mean, there's always exception, Therefore, they might as well just remove that to put somebody else.
But the DNA is still there. Look, I spoke about my pops. I haven't been to either of my pops' grave ever. They died when I was very young.
See, that's what I said. Second generation doesn't
No,
give
I
a
know,
shit.
yeah. And I was, but even my nan, like, I'm ashamed.
He's
to
gonna
say
go
it.
now. Now that we spoke about it, you'd see he's gonna go now.
No, probably not.
It's a sad thing. So we here, we trying to be like righteous and talk about the ANZAC spirit and why it should be kept. We can't even go to the tomb
Is that
of
living?
our grandparents, which are
What's that-
2 generations up from us, to pay our respect, because
What's that got
if
to
it
do
wasn't
with
for
living?
them, we wouldn't be here.
So don't you pay them respect by living with the ANZAC spirit, the same spirit that they had? Turning up to their tomb, turning up to their tomb after their spirit is long, after their spirit is long left. There's bones in the ground. Their spirit is long left.
But if there is a resting place, shouldn't you go?
I don't believe.
You know what? It's like going to church. Right? And I've had this argument many a time, and I've come from a religious family. I don't need to go to church to speak to God. I mean, and they go, "Well, he's in church." I go, "You tell me he's everywhere." So, if you want to respect your elders, I
understand.
I feel like if I went and visited my pop's grave,
silence.
if part of my DNA is a sense of humour, and I went and visited my pop's grave, I'd feel like they'd just be sitting there going, "What are you doing, you dickhead? There's nothing in there for you."
Yeah.
Right? But you live, the respect you pay is to live not the way they lived, but with the spirit they live with, which is to fight for everything you have and to earn everything you have and not to be given everything you have. And Thomas, I don't disagree with you, mate. Well, you can't disagree because the stats are there. After the second generation, and I'm the living proof, I haven't visited any of my past grandparents' graves, but that doesn't change the fact I'm not sitting here being self-righteous at all, because I live with that spirit.
I'm sentimental because, both my parents are alive, touch wood, and I went back a few years ago because Dad was already talking before his heart surgery about his resting place, and he wanted to pick a place and pick a spot, and it had to face Vietnam, all this kind of stuff. And he wanted to have a pillow under the day he's gone. And I said, "Listen, mate, don't worry about the pillow and don't worry about facing the thing, because we're going to put Mum's tomb on top of yours. So you don't have to worry about all this. So you won't see anything but Mum's back." But by accident, in the same cemetery, I walked down to Veronique's grandfather's resting place. Being an ex-soldier and a hero, he had a special spot in that cemetery that was really, it's a nice cemetery. And that he was, and he didn't have a tombstone. I'm sorry, he didn't have, anything, ornaments or anything, just a plaque. And I stood there and I thought, hold on, I know you when you were alive. And here I now am standing now that you've gone. I tell you, the goosebumps I had, the photos I took, the amount of photos I even asked my sister to take with me standing next to his tombstone, because maybe I'm sentimental. The story he told me from the little amount of time I actually have known him, it really made me feel like, hold on, I need to make sure I keep on living the spirit he shared with me.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very, very important. I think
Just said that. Live with the spirit. And it's literally.
I think that not only parents should really be taking the kids to visit the tombstone of their parents, but the parents should take the kids to visit the grandchildren, because you want the ANZAC to keep on going. You have to start from the first place. The first place is your own home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so true.
It's often we feel, well, I do sometimes feel obliged to go and visit my parents. And sometimes I just want to go and visit them. So But luckily, my kids are at an age they come with us quite frequently. I don't know if they will as they get older.
No, but they
No,
knew
I-
them, right? So my thing was I never knew I was 4 when one died and 5. I don't remember my pops at all. At all. I was very, very young when they died. So it's never been a thing. Maybe it should have been a thing. I'm sure my mum would love if it was a thing. Thanks for bringing it up, Thomas, you prick. Now it's going to have to be a thing. I need a couple of days off work. Thank you. I've got to go.
Do you remember that movie, Remember the Titans?
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Okay, when Denzel Washington, after draining them
Right.
physically, he took them to the grave.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? He knows what he's doing. And I think that, I also
How long
heard.
does that last? Though you said before. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's another rah-rah moment, right? It's another Tony Robbins seminar where for 3 days we're all fucking chuffed and the goosebumps and all that stuff. It's another rah-rah moment. But what we found yesterday, and look, what I've been trying to get going, especially in the Central Coast part of our network for a long time, is spend way more time together so we can develop that spirit that we are wearing the same jersey. I talk about wearing the same jersey all the time. Lou, I've had this conversation with you. I want Macquarie to be part of the same jersey, because the minute our people realise there's something bigger than their own office or their own individual thing, we will go to a whole other level, and I just can't get it going.
Yeah.
People just don't, leaders especially, just don't want to buy into the idea, but it's proven time and time again. Get a bunch of people together with a common goal, wearing the same shirt, and fucking magic happens, mate. Absolute magic. Yes, we can go and stand at a tombstone, and that'll inspire us for a day, for a week. But know that you got a band of people around you that are wearing the same jersey, that are going through the same shit. If we talk about real estate, the start of your career is a grind, and a lot of it is shit, and what it ends up in is absolute gold. But if instead of the 2 people in your office, or the 5 people in your office, or the 40 people in your office, depending on who you're with, if there's 200 people wearing the same shirt and going through the same shit, all of a sudden the ANZAC spirit gets rekindled, because it's in our DNA. And all of a sudden, there's always someone who can come to you for help. And all of a sudden, there's always someone willing to help.
Yeah.
Right? There's always someone willing to help. And all of a sudden, you're not scared to ask for help, because there's people out there facing the same bullets. But I've been talking about it for 4 years. I can't get it to happen, because at the end of the day, everyone's in it for himself. You can bury your head, Teal, but that's the point. Everyone's in it for himself. And we go to seminars, and everyone has 3 days of, yes, we're together, and yes, this is what we're doing, and yes, fucking great. Yes, we've got our plan for the year, and what happens 2 weeks later?
I'm not saying that. But Cam, yesterday, when the 7 of us walked into Chris' office, mate, every other shop were looking at us going, hold on, is that a cult? All of a sudden, it's so overcrowded.
That's it. No, but that's the point. Let's be not a cult, but let's be an army.
Let's be a team.
Let's be an army. Let's have it, because armies fight, armies compete, armies. Yeah, in the real estate world, we go to war. We're fighting every single day against some other dickhead who's trying to take food off your table.
Cam, it's like what you're saying though. It's like you're the biggest football fan on here, and you've got your individual teams that play all year. But then when the state of origin rolls around every year, several people from each team get together. Now they probably punch each other's lights out for every game during the whole year. But when the state of origin comes around, they're wearing that same jersey, so they're all for a common
jersey, mate. You get at a seminar when all the leaders are together, all of a sudden that spirit's there. You go to an awards night where everyone's together, all of a sudden that spirit's there. And we come out of the last awards night and we go, how do we bottle that? Well, we bottle that by doing it more often and getting together more often.
Yeah.
We do that by helping our teams understand that they're bigger than the best thing that came out of me from yesterday and doing that was that my boys across 3 offices got to realise that the world is bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
They got to realise, like, when we started Killarney Vale, they were working out of Carry-On, so there was a team and there was camaraderie. And since Killarney Vale's opened its physical office, that has gone because now they're separate. We've got to bring the team back together, and that spirit was there in that room.
Yeah.
And we can do that as a network, and we can do that as a community. Unfortunately, all the community Facebook pages are the biggest cesspool you've ever fucking seen. Instead of being a place to lift each other up, they're a place to tear each other apart.
Going now. He's on the roll.
I'm going, mate. I'm passionate about it because I'm there. Yes, I'm always the last one standing with Megan Green, and yes, I'm always the drunkest. But those nights where we're wearing the same jersey and we're all working towards a common goal are the greatest fucking nights you have as human beings. And we can do that as a network. We can do that as a company, and then maybe we can actually create a difference. We're talking about how we change. We sell more houses than anyone else on the Central Coast. We've probably got a bigger team than anyone else on the Central Coast, but we don't make a real change because at the end of the day, we're in it for ourselves. How about we look at the fucking name on our badge there that says Wisebury, not Cameron or fucking Chris or Louise or whatever, and not the commission? And how about we would steamroll, absolutely steamroll. No one could stop us. And the difference between us and the rest is we will be doing it for good as well as our own. We can't sit in front of a vendor and go, I'm not here to make money, I'm just here to help you. Bullshit. We're here to set ourselves up, right? But imagine how much we could help ourselves while doing so much good in the fucking community. And that would be the ANZAC spirit. But we don't even have it amongst ourselves. So how can we expect other people to have it? And that's the shame of the whole thing.
And you know what, Cam? The longer we keep on going the same road, the more we're going to be attractive to a lot of top performers. Good real estate agents are going to start realizing, hold on, these people are good people. That's why you have to keep on going. That's what I like about what Gandhi does. He was one man who started things, but he kept persevering. And I think that we have to keep on doing it. I think in our network, it's really becoming very clear. You are a big giver, man. I didn't think that out of a clown there could be a giver, but out of a clown now I am a believer that there is a giver. But you can't change the world, Cam. You can only change you.
Imagine if instead of 6 people door knocking Chris's suburb yesterday, there's 150. Right? How many people are going to want to join that network, and how many people are going to want a part of that army? Right? And yes, I'm on the Central Coast. We had to catch 2 planes and a boat to get to Sutherland. But on the Central Coast, we've got some of the highest performing agents in the state, probably some of the highest performing agents in Australia. Imagine if we were all on the same page. Imagine if you're walking down the main street in Killarney Vale or Gorican or Umina, and there's $15 million plus performers walking down the street, knocking on people's doors and doing it for each other instead of for themselves. Who's not going to want to be a part of that? And because then it grows, the spirit grows.
Yeah.
And it's not all about being Wisebury. That breeds into your home, that breeds into your kids, that breeds into everything we're trying to do. Right? I get drunk and I'm a dickhead, and like Thomas says, I'm a clown. And most people take that, but we all wear the same shirt. So let's fucking live it.
You're very lucky. We all conditioned to loving clowns. So you're very lucky, my friend.
Sorry for getting so passionate. It means
mate, it's great.
Beautiful. That's why I said at the beginning, Cam, from my studies of ANZAC, out of the 4 of us, but your ANZAC spirit, your bantering is off the Richter, your swearing is off the Richter. Because I've watched and I studied some of these commanders, mate. They swore more than they gave orders. So you're one of them. I see your freaking sometimes sarcasm that people actually don't understand. It's like off the Richter. But I also see a huge heart, man. The way you give to people, the way you make the call to go down to Chris, you make the call to go down to Joel's office. The way you do all that stuff for other offices is just out of this world. I think, man, you are an example. It's sad for me to say on this podcast. I will not say it again. I just want people to know. Right, but man, it really means a lot to me. This is why we brothers, and I think for Chris yesterday to to witness that, man, I'm telling you, you can't buy it. You can't buy what
Absolutely.
you saw yesterday in the room. You know, it might have been a trench yesterday, Chris. It was
Yep.
crazy, wasn't it? It was crazy.
That's amazing.
And when it became a bit quiet, did you notice how fast everyone started diving so that there was something happening?
Make some
It
noise.
felt like it felt almost like, hold on, no one's getting out of the trench. I'm going first. I'll take the bullet. It's almost that. And yeah, I think we got more rejection for our teammates yesterday than from the people because they were so nice. But when you get to know everyone's going, you're an idiot, you're this. it was fantastic. But I thought that yesterday, being around the boys and making the calls myself and getting rejected and getting the no's and getting the wrong list, I mean, it was sensational.
The wrong list. Back to the wrong list. Why's that one in?
All right, guys. So we're coming up to a time now we need to close. So ANZAC Day. What is it? And what does it mean? Let's start with, we're going to keep Lou always last. So let's start with Chris first.
Oh, thanks for dropping that on me. Like I said at the start, it's doing things for others without an agenda. It's probably the easiest way I can say it. It's doing things for others without an agenda.
Yeah.
Mm.
For me, it's about espousing to the highest values by forgetting yourself.
Should be every day.
What about you, ANZAC?
Oh, just much like Mother's Day, it should be every day.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's a good one, isn't it? Hey, you can't steal my line. Can you just say another one, man?
No, but that's how I feel. Anyway, I'm getting emotional, but it's
You look good when you're emotional. That's when your glasses start to have a little bit of that kind of smoky feel.
it should be every day, and until it's every day for people, we're going nowhere as a society, and that makes me sad.
Yeah.
All right, Lou, you're the closing one.
Okay. Well, I think, look, Anzac Day.
Good luck following that.
Anzac Day, whilst it commemorates all the Australians and the New Zealanders that landed in Gallipoli in 1915, I think it should be a day of reflection of everybody who has fought for our country or their country, regardless of what country they live in. I think it should be a day of remembrance and reflection of people that are still fighting today, like we've got the war in Ukraine and people dying, like it's just crazy. But I think Anzac Day, yes, it's a spirit, and anybody that goes to war must have that spirit. And I think, like Cam said, if we can create that and make sure that remains within our families, first and foremost, within our teams, within our communities, then we'll keep that Australian/Anzac spirit going. But, we've got to stop, like Thomas said, we've got to drag our kids out of bed at 5 o'clock on Monday, and we've got to say, hey, this is why you are here, because people took it upon themselves to put their lives on the line for people they didn't even know would exist, and that's you. So if anything, we owe it that day to remember and reflect on those that are still fighting and have fought and have lost their lives so we can all be here today.
That's nice.
Very good.
Well, just for today, I'm going to lie and I'm going to give Cam the last word.
Good. Good.
I think.
Come on, I love you, brother. You've done an amazing job. I drink to that, man.
I drink to that. I guess if we're going to start moving forward, it starts with us as parents, and we're all parents. You introduce your kids to Anzac Day, introduce them to a dawn service, but not the fluff about it, what it actually means, and the deeper meaning to what it is to have Anzac spirit. Start introducing it to yourselves. Start expecting it of yourself. So then you earn the right to expect it of other people, because until you expect it of yourself or demand it of yourself, you got no right to demand it of other people. And that's true at home and true through business. I'd love to be more positive about it, but I think it is a positive thing. But so many fucking people died for us to have what we have. And I don't reckon 1/5 of us would do the same today. So that's about it. I can't. Yeah. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Well said.
In spirit, I will see you at 5 Monday.
Monday. Okay.
Talk to you soon.
See you
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.